Have you ever had that encounter, sharing your story and empowering people?
Yes, I have. I've shared my testimony at numerous youth conferences. My husband is the founder of Youth for Truth Street Ministries. So through that, we used to do street services. And so I had an opportunity to witness. And after the service, I would have young women, older women come to me and say, "You have no idea how you blessed me." It was years later, even now, I've had people come to me and say, "Hey, I remember when you ran that revival at Mount Carmel, and things you said, it blessed me. It helped me." And they would say, "You have no idea what you said and what you've been through, how it helped me." And they thanked me for not being ashamed to tell it.
Wow. Now, when you say like your past, when you talked about earlier, could you give me an example of something that you went through as a young girl, as a teenage girl, that may can help these women out?
Sure. As a young woman, I was a runaway, never stayed at home. My influence was in the street. So I was a runaway. And of course, my mother would always turn to the courts to get me off of the street. And so every time I would run away, they would find me. There was one particular police officer that would always come find me. I don't care where I was at. He would come find me. And so I ended up in the Lynchburg Juvenile Detention Center. I ended up at it wasn't Spark House then, it was Crossroads. So that was years ago, Crossroads. The judge ended up sending me, because Crossroads, you could just walk out whenever you wanted to.
Okay.
And so after Crossroads, I ended up going to Bon Air. So I spent a substantial amount of time in Richmond down at Bon Air, a locked facility. And so, from Crossroads to the detention home to Bon Air, once I got out of Bon Air, here's the thing, I didn't even want to leave Bon Air because I felt safe there.
Gotcha. It was familiar.
It was familiar. I was around a whole lot of other people like me. So they kind of became my family, not gang-like.
Yeah.
Back then, it really, gangs didn't even, that was a joke. That's something you heard about in LA or whatever. But it was like I was amongst people who could identify with me. So I didn't want to leave, but my probation officer came to get me because my time was up. And that, like I said, that was at a young girl. I dropped out of high school, didn't finish school at that time. Because I was too busy running the street, doing drug transactions, drug transports. I can't tell you how many times, and I'm just being honest, how many times I've left Lynchburg in a car transporting to New York and should have got caught and didn't.
Wow.
So can you imagine, we wouldn't be sitting here now if I'd have got caught. So there's quite a few things that, I've done in my life that I'm not proud of, but I've done them and I've overcome, even down to drugs. A closet addict. No one knew. What you see, I was well kept, well put together. Bills paid and the whole nine. But I was one of those closet ones until my near-death experience. And like I said earlier, that's when my life changed.
And that just kind of woke you up. So with your near-death experience, and I'm glad that you keep bringing it up because it's near-death, so death didn't get the victory over you and you're still here. And I just want to know, having a near-death experience, did you feel obligated to run with your second chance?
Absolutely. I would not want anyone to experience what I felt, at that moment in my life. I fought to stay alive. I know God was there it wasn't my time, but I also feel like because I didn't give up the fight, I was determined to live. I wanted to live. And so that near-death experience, a second chance, absolutely. I embraced it, and it was like I did a complete turnaround.